Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's the Jade Gemini. Today I'm super excited to go and bring you a video that I'm kind of throwing together here. It is August 10th, 2022. It's a little past the middle of the year, and basically I wanted to put together what are the best value options that are available out there as far as knives go. Now, before I go ahead and jump in, the first thing is all these knives I actually own personally. So I do have them, kind of in rotation and, know quite a bit about them. Second thing is, just so nobody gets triggered or, offended, when I say value, I mean added value, like you're getting a lot for your money. So if you see, a knife on here that's more than $50, that's even crossing over that $100 territory. Don't be shocked, because again, this is the value for what you're getting, not cheapest knives of, 2022, or top cheapest 5 or whatever. So anyways, getting that all out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right in with an absolute favorite of the channel, the Qsp Penguin. Now you're going to see throughout this, and I sort of realized a lot of features with these knives are sort of similar, and I guess I sort of like a certain thing. But starting out with the Qsp Penguin, you get a lot for your money. The first thing is all the bits and bobs that are important are here. The blade is basically nearest makes no difference centered. You have a solid construction all around. You have a great action, which is ridiculously, unapologetically smooth for a price of $30. Keep on top of that, you get a steel. It is D2, but it is good heat-treated D2. It's also done really well in this Wharncliffe design that you can actually end up using great for EDC. It's also this sort of Goldilocks size, where it's not at a full-size knife, but it also doesn't feel like one of those sub 3-inch compact knives either. It's kind of perfectly right in the middle. You also have this really nice, sort of simple, almost bug-out-esque handle that's just really straightforward and simple, and I really like that. Combo that with the fact that, again, this is $30, but you can get versions with DLC blades, you can get them with G10, different micartas, woods, special brass versions, carbon fibers. You really can have a lot of different variety, for this knife itself. I also like the fact that it's easy to use for lefties. I'm not a lefty myself, but I like to go ahead and look out. So me, who is not coordinated with my left hand, can unlock and operate this knife very easily. So coordinate that with the deep carry pocket clip, and you got yourself a solid knife that, honestly, even though this is $30 and I have knives that are 300 plus, I look at this and I'm like, oh yeah, so cool, I freaking own that. Let me put that in my pocket today. I love that thing. So, Qsp Penguin. Now, if you're willing to spend a little bit more money on a knife, not that this is a bad knife at Qsp, but you can definitely get incremental changes, which most of the part, when you spend more money on a knife, it is sort of the incremental that you're paying for. There isn't this like you spent $20 more and, again, it's freaking blessed or anything like that with holy water. But if you can get into the $52, spend $22 more, you can get this amazing knife right here. This is the Petrified Fish Beluga. Weird name, but great knife. So Petrified Fish, again, sort of like Qsp, is one of those brands that offer a lot of value. It's made in China, which I have no problem with whatsoever, but just in case, you care about that. But for the extra money, you're getting so much more. The first thing, and probably most important, is the steel in this case. Living in Florida, where it is swamp-ass season right now, you want something that is corrosion resistant, and this getting all moist, as well as this, not a good look. We don't want to rust. So 14C28N is an upgraded and amazing steel. Laren Thompson, or Laren Thomas, one of the two, he's a knife steel guru. He actually has a doctrine in how everything is made. Basically, he said that this is a perfect EDC steel. It's got some toughness, it's got some edge retention, it's got some, definitely some corrosion resistance, being a Sandvik steel, which is from Scandinavia, and is also easy to sharpen and just strap up, making this a really great steel for EDC. Speaking of that cutting utensil, just like the QSP, this thing slices insane. It's even thinner behind the edge and has this trailing belly. It also has this from factory sort of semi-polished edge that is really well taken care of. And this thing, before making this video, I tested it cutting paper towel by holding the best sides, and it didn't get clogged up. It actually cut like that from factory, which from Neve's Knives, if you're not subscribed to him, definitely check out his channel. He said that that's actually a really hard thing to do. You got to really have a pretty honed in edge. So hair popping, not going to be a problem here. Also, the next thing you get upgraded for your money is you get these magnificent contoured, comfortable scales that even have micro milling and this really nice, crazy G10 material. This thing would be easy to cut all day long without any sort of problem with these beautiful scales. They come in this G10, they also come in some Micarta versions, and again, I love the micro milling and the small little details. Also, those little details, everything fits really well. You also have that pocket clip that's rear mounted through the rear, just like the QSP. But again, everything feels really nice. This feels like it has a soul and some presence, which some cheap, sort of value-oriented knives don't. So that's the next thing. Also, look at the dang thing. It's gorgeous. You get this sort of Ray Laconico old guard simplistic handle back here, and then you get this design up here, which kind of reminds me of a Poltergeist Works, real steel collaboration. And it just looks great. It's a really, really attractive design going on here. Also, again, ambidextrous. You have this lock bar cutout that is really big and easy to actuate, just like the Penguin. And no matter if you're left-handed or you're right-handed, you could enjoy using this knife. Not as good as the opening, of course, being not left-handed. But keep in mind all of that and the fact that it has this amazing fun action that is fidgetable. So you're going to get a lot of fun out of this knife that's going to keep you entertained. You can sort of flick it through the fuller. You can thumb stud flick it through the fuller like that. You can over flick it. You can pull it over, and then traditional thumb flip. I mean, you just have so much time to just sit at work and do this. My finger actually hurts today, my thumb, because I've been flicking the heck out of this thing. And the pocket clip is great. It has this great ramp, extremely deep, simple enough, but yet doesn't create really any hot spots on the knife at all. Just an absolute insane knife for the money, and one I would recommend. So that's second on the list. Now, if you want to go up a little bit, you could, and the next knife is one of my favorites. If I had to get rid of almost all my knives in the collection, I think this would be in the top 3 of what I keep, which again, seeing that I went all the way from, my first sort of Delica and those sort of things, and then went all the way up to Henderers and everything like that, you'd think I'd have to have super duper expensive stuff, but not the case. One of my favorite knives of all time, the Civivi, designed by Ben Petersen, who used to work at Blade HQ through Knife Banter, and used to work at CRKT, and now, owns NAFS, his own personal knife brand. This is the Baby Banter. This thing is amazing. It has a fun action that is so insanely smooth. It is snappy, makes a great noise, yet it's so small, it is completely feels like a little rock solid tank in hand, a true worker's knife with, Civivi's quality with their action. Again, the detent just fires hard. Also, sort of same situation, same story. It has this amazing, just ridiculous, probably this is the best slicing knife I have, thin behind the edge that just vaporizes through anything. Like if you cut paper, you don't even really feel it with this knife. Absolutely amazing. Also, all the little details have been stressed over here since Ben is making it. It has this beautiful chamfered choil up here, as well as these perfect thumb jimping as well that ends up locking in but doesn't tear up your finger at all. And like I said originally, what's great about this knife is not only is it small, so this could be used for people who have smaller pockets or maybe females that don't have, you know, big pockets, but the other thing that's great about this knife is because of this folding choil, when it folds up, it's so small, it's almost like this little Lego knife. So, you know, when you open this up, if you were to go, okay, I'm just gonna kind of open this up in the office, cut something, you know, close it, put it away. Nobody's even gonna think about it because it's so small. This knife, it's not really offensive. It doesn't look hyper tactical. And, you know, again, there's a lot of variation and variance here, and there's even more coming out. There's a Micarta version that's actually coming out here with green Micarta as well. Again, amazing clip, recessed screws that don't even get into the pocket path, that is comfortable with this design, easy to take apart, put back together, and just engineered way too much for a knife that is just a hair over $60. Now this one has tritium thumbs in the thumb stud. Yours won't come like that, but I love this knife so much, I've upgraded that. So this is the Baby Banter. Let's just get another look at it because I love it so much. So that's really the first designer knife. You know, the other ones I think are more in-house designs from the two companies. This is actually getting a designer and somebody in the knife community that you know and you love. The next one does take a little bit of an increase in price, but my gosh, this might be the best value knife out right now. We're talking about the Hogue Deka and freaking MAGNACUT. So if you lived under a rock, or you're just going ahead and searching this video because you're getting into knives and you're like, what's the best value top 5 knives out there? Well, this is one that is really important, and it's because, well, at first I thought it was just because of the MAGNACUT. So let's get that part out of the way anyways. So MAGNACUT is this steel, again, who I was talking about earlier on, Laren Thompson, or Laren Thomas, sorry if I'm getting that wrong, but he is a guy that runs Knife Steel Nerds. He actually has a doctorate again in mixing materials, a metallurgist, and basically he knows so much. He said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make my own steel. You see, most steels that are used in knife are actually used in other industries. M390, which is in my name, for example, is actually used in Arctic drilling originally because it's high corrosion resistance and high wear resistance, where it wouldn't rust being used in Arctic drilling. And then they're kind of like, yeah, I kind of threw this on a knife and it kind of worked, huh? But it's not perfect because usually you either get a edge that's hard, that cuts for a long time but is brittle and hard to sharpen, or you have something that's a little softer, that's tougher, but when it's softer, it doesn't keep that edge as long. And usually to do that, it has to have added carbon, which carbon makes your steel rust. So it's kind of like you kind of pick the devil that you want to be with. With MAGNACUT, it fixes all that. You have a stainless steel that is basically so stainless it gets into what is called the stain proof. Basically, you could throw it in, the salt, sort of salt lake, for like a week or two, pull it out. You're not even really going to start seeing rust form on it. I mean, it's practically non-maintenance, existing. You could dive with the knife, whatever, right? Maybe oil it once a month. Keep on top of that it is as tough as one of the toughest steels, Crewware and 4V, that is this mega pounder carbon steel that can, beat through a car door. It's 9/10 of that. And this is stainless, by the way. Also, it has a cutting performance which is of a super steel. Depending on how it's heat treated, you're getting edge retention anywhere over 154 cm, probably more so S30V range, possibly even up to like the LMAX range. So this just does it all. So I was like, oh, I'll get the knife and, I get the steel. But really the knife is the part that I've fallen in love with here. This is amazing. I used to love the Benchmade Bug Out as one of my favorite knives ever. And it's because it was so thin, so light. And the way that, you could fidget it, the noises that it made was great. But unfortunately, as much as I want to like Benchmade, they have such bad quality control or such hit or miss quality control that out of the 9 Benchmades I've had, 8 have had major problems. The Hogue, in my experience, has had none and has great quality control. So this knife basically takes the bug out and fixes the problems with it, the Benchmade part. So this knife is lightweight with some polymer. It does flex a little bit, but for general EDC, you're not cranking on this knife and saying, hey, let me bend it right here at maximum pressure. You're just gonna hold in your hand, cut, sort of do some different things, no problem. Also, you have this great design, which is super ergonomic, that goes ahead and keeps you locked in, but it's not really creating any sort of hot spots or anything that's awkward. You could really cut with this for a very long time and have no problem. Also, on the business end of this, you've got this amazing dual grind. So it is a little thicker if you were to do some, task like, cutting through something that like, I don't know, if you were to do an outdoor task like whittling, or maybe you were to, again, cut through some copper wire or something, who knows, you get a little bit more thick edge back over here, and then up here, you have a really thin edge that's able to go ahead and pierce and slice through materials. This knife also comes in a drop point version, doesn't have the dual, compound grind, but it's still going to be great. This thing also came insanely hyper sharp outside of the box. I usually will clean tape by grabbing the blade and just going like this along the side, not pushing on either way, just doing that. By simply doing that, I actually cut into my finger just on the side of the edge alone. This thing is insanely sharp. From the factory, all the grinds lined up. Its nearest makes no difference, perfectly centered. Again, just like the others, has a deep carry pocket clip that's really well, that is non-obtrusive and is small, and has an ambidextrous lock on this guy, which is not only fun to fidget, but easy for lefties or righties. This thing, I've loved this knife. Oh yeah, and again, it's in MAGNACUT. So, all that would be fine is if it was in S30V, but it's in MAGNACUT, and it is $135. Not $160, not $190, $135. We're robbing Hogue here. It's like, you can just stop right there. I won't, because it's top 5, but you could just stop. Now, I wouldn't call myself a fanboy of the brand, but when money talks, money talks. My last on the top 5 is the Doug Ritter RSK Mark I G2, also known as the Ritter Hogue. This looks like a Benchmade Griptilian. The reason why is that Doug Ritter went to Benchmade after Benchmade stopped making the knife and said, hey, is it okay if I continue to use this and develop it with Hogue? And very much like the Deka, they basically taken the Griptilian, which I didn't like. I felt it was like a round broom handle thing that was like, felt like crunchy and hard and plasticky and had blade play, and it just felt like a low quality knife to me, and ended up making a knife that is one of my favorite of all time. You have this amazing G10 chassis that is just stonks, crazy, ridiculous tough. This thing is a brute, insane tough with this knife all the way around. You have one of the toughest locks, but it is just completely robust. There is no flex in any sort of direction, and it is just insanely drop fall, easy peasy smooth. Fun to fidget. It also has a really great mixed geometry. It's a little thicker, but it still cuts really, really great, But again, this whole entire thing is supposed to be a hardcore working knife. So it's gonna have that toughness, even though it is in 20 CV, which is one of the best steels out there, but it is one that is, you know, a little less tough than some stainlesses and definitely a lot less tough than carbon steels. You're still gonna go ahead and have a really nice balance, you know, EDC knife here that is gonna be on the tougher side for sure. Also, this amazing starburst pattern and all this milling inside of the G10 locks in, and contoured is one of my favorite words in the English dictionary. So you actually are gonna have a beautiful grip on this guy, just curving around, and the way this sort of cuts into the back here, it is just perfect for the human hand. This thing could just cut, again, all day long. And as Nick Shabazz says, even if you're in the Vaseline factory, you're not going to have any problem with how this guy is textured. Also, it's a beefy boy, right? But you know, you kind of expect the weight with how solid it feels. It feels like that from quality. It's not over the top heavy, but it's definitely not so lightweight that you don't feel like you can really get to work on this. Also, the fact of the matter is this comes in a small version, which comes in more around this size right here. And it has a thinner edge, which is more, you know, utilized for sort of that EDC roll. That geometry really kind of works, but you still get the great grip and features and all that stuff. Also, again, ambidextrous, so it just sort of oddly is that all of these nice would work for lefties. And the fact of the matter is, it comes with a deep carry pocket clip on this sort of mid-mounted, well, you know, lower-mounted mounting system. This is a standard Benchmade style clip, but it still runs plenty deep. You know, that's all that's peeping out. That's really, really great as well. Also, this is easy to take apart. You know, you take apart these screws and this panel lifts off and the springs are right there. So if you ever needed to replace the springs, which again, this and this uses upgraded Wolf springs. I've had this for more than a year and probably opened and closed it like 3,000 times. I don't feel like the springs are ever gonna break. Unlike a Benchmade that you do it like 500 flicks and it breaks the Omega spring in, yeah, you have a knife that doesn't lock and isn't reliable until you replace that. So again, you know, sorry Benchmade, just get better. But yeah, that is that. And again, I love it so much. I have another Glow Rhino Tritium on this Halloween 100 limited edition sprint run version. This is also a KnifeWorks exclusive. You have to get it there. And all of this super steel, American made on both of these guys. You go ahead and get super duper quality, Hogue's warranty, just all that good stuff. You're supporting an amazing guy, Doug Ritter, who's actually fighting for your knife rights in Congress. No matter what your politics are, we're knife people. We don't want old archaic laws that are written by fear-mongering to go ahead and be around anymore for a knife that's automatic that could help somebody with arthritis, for example. So he's fighting, he's one of the only people out there that are fighting for that. So definitely you're getting behind a designer knife. Again, this is also a designer as well through Qsp, which I believe is a veteran. So it's definitely cool to have a American knife designer who's a veteran as well. So these are the top 5 of this guy. Sorry, this guy's 179. So it's getting near that 200. But again, a Shaman is $230. Why? This is just that alone. Shaman is S30V, is heavier, doesn't have all this micro milling, is still made in the United States. I don't even know if it's made as a good quality as this Hogue. I mean, that's all I really need to say right there. You're just getting way too much for your money there. So these are the top 5. Bonus, just because I want to. This one is hard. The Para 3 is a great knife. If you're looking for a knife that you want to customize, which is something that's important to me, and fidget, and have a reliable and easy and ambidextrous lock, this is a pretty good option. I think this will always be a popular knife in the knife community. Has, like I said, multiple options to choke up and play with and everything like that. The thing is it has increased in price to $161, but still for an American-made knife, with now S45 VN, And, you know, I think the quality is even improved on these guys from this older version, which is a little harder and more finicky to tune with its pivot, which is why I'm kind of struggling with it. It's a little over tight to eliminate the blade play. So I think that this one would be a good option as well at 160. If you are wanting to get a Spyderco, I would recommend that as the bonus value option of 2022. So yeah, that is the video right there. I was excited to make this video, so sorry if it was rambly, but I hope that rambling comes through as passion and you can see that and you had a fun time going ahead and watching this video. If you did, please go and give it a like because it helps the channel. I mean, I'm just amazed that we're even here, almost at 1,200 subscribers, and I want to keep grinding, you know what I mean? I want to get more knives in my hand. You know, I'm just so excited to go ahead and produce this content for you. Of course, I'd love to see you guys comment below, and of course, if you like this video, subscribe, as that's the thing that helps, you know, make this all possible, is you guys. And to that, I appreciate you taking time to go ahead and watch this video when there's so many other great content creators that you could be watching, and you've decided to pick on my little tiny channel right here. So I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your week. Stay safe, everything going on. Take care. Peace.